Hello there, and welcome back to a team report for Pokemon Champions. This team I have most recently used to climb all the way up to the Master Ball tier here at the start of Mega Regulation B in the double battle format. I've been using the new Mega Staraptor and partnering it with Whimsicott, supporting it with a Rain trio of Pelipper, Archaludon, and a Mega Swampert, and then a Sneasler for good damage into fairy types. So the team mostly focuses around Staraptor and pairing it with a Whimsicott in the lead. The purpose of the Staraptor is to use its ability when it Mega Evolves in Contrary to stack defense boosts through close combat and slowly take out the opponent's health, take out all of their tools, and leave him in a position where Pelipper and Archaludon can kind of finish up any weakened team. We're just taking out those big answers to Pelipper and Archaludon by softening them up through close combat's Brave Birds. So the team mostly focuses around leading Whimsicott and Staraptor. Staraptor has a brilliant ability in its base form in Intimidate. Intimidate is an incredible ability to weaken opposing Garchomps and Basculegions and other prominent physical attackers, as well as maybe getting a White Herb activation on opposing Sneaslers, weakening them long term. You then Mega Evolve, get those close combats, and just begin to become an unstoppable force. Now, in terms of stats, there's the stats for everything. So these stats are quite important. We're going to look first at the Staraptor. 32 HP, 9 attack, 25 speed, with that being boosted through that stat alignment of plus speed and minus special attack. Staraptor, a lot of people have been running Staraptor as a big damage dealer, and I don't think that is the best possible way to run Staraptor. The purpose of this Staraptor is to stick around for a long time. Even with just 9 attack points, Staraptor is capable of dealing big damage to opposing Pokemon. It does no problem dealing damage, and that is why we're supporting it with Whimsicott with the fake tears. Most people have looked at 3 different moves to support Staraptor. They're looking at Scary Face on Grimmsnarl, Charm on Whimsicott, and the option that I've gone with, Fake Tears on Whimsicott. I don't like the Scary Face option personally, as I think Grimmsnarl is a bit slower in terms of its tempo. It's playing at a lower pace and just makes you even more vulnerable to critical hits. Whimsicott can give you that same speed boost, and Parting Shot is just not getting you enough stat increases. And while Reflecting Light Screen are brilliant, I found that having Tailwind to support the entire team, Encore, and good damage with Moonblast. This is a focus Whimsicott, so maximum damage with Moonblast. It's just more valuable. More valuable in terms of what its tools can offer you. So I think that in order to support Staraptor, I think Whimsicott is its best partner. So then you've got to make that choice between Fake Tears and Charm. And like I say, Staraptor does do enough damage on its own, even with minimal investment into its attack. Only 9 points and no Charm boost means Staraptor, even once intimidated, and we'll get to that a little bit more later, Staraptor can absolutely deal enough damage throughout the course of a game because it is so difficult for the opponent to remove. Now, it packs on the Staraptor the Protect, Close Combat, Brave Bird, and Roost. For me, Protect, Close Combat, they are mandatory. Protect means that you cannot get faked out at any point. It gives you an answer to fake out, which is a big threat. And Close Combat is your main attack. You're going to be clicking Close Combat most of the time. Every time you want to go for a move with Staraptor, you want to click Close Combat. Now, in terms of the flying type move of choice, Brave Bird, I've gone for that for big burst damage. You could go for the Dual Wing Beat, which is it's a lower power option, but it does have a few benefits in being able to get around Focus Sashes on Sneaslers. Some Sneaslers run Focus Sash, some don't. I'm running the White Herb, which I personally think is a better set, but there has been an uptake in Focus Sash Sneasler. So dual Wing Beat would be able to get around that, and other Focus Sash users, potentially Whimsicott. I just think that the lower power is just such a big trade-off for Brave Bird, where Brave Bird can just absolutely take out threats, such as Sinister, in one hit, and not have to worry about them. The fourth move is Roost, because we don't need Tailwind, because it's got Whimsicott and Pelipper both with Tailwind. Absolutely no need for that on Staraptor. Roost is more valuable. The point of this Staraptor is to stay around long term by boosting up its defense and special defense through close combat and getting a big special defense boost through Fake Tears with Whimsicott. Staraptor's whole point is to stay throughout the entire game. Now with Staraptor, you can pretty much lead it any time. There's no reason really not to lead Staraptor. It is perfectly fine to be led, even when the opposing team has Intimidate through something like Incineroar. Incineroar can't punish you too badly, and you can really punish it with Close Combat. Close Combat is going to do like 70% to an Incineroar. They're not going to want to stay in. And if they do stay in, then you're going to get your defense boosts with your Close Combat, and you're still doing so much damage, even to things not Incineroar, things that aren't weak. If they switch out, you're getting that boost back. You're going to go back up to neutral when they come back in, because they will have to come back in at some point, and Staraptor, I can guarantee you, will probably still be around. So it is not a problem to lead Staraptor into an Intimidator. Most of the Intimidators are physical attackers. Staraptor has no problem trading that Intimidate and dealing with them. Now, on the Whimsicott, we've got the Moonblast, Tailwind, Encore, and Fake Tears. We tend to lead the Whimsicott with the Staraptor, because that means anything faster than Staraptor can be supported with the Tailwind. We have the Moonblast for dealing with fighting types, dark types. Encore is a brilliant move. It punishes fake outs from Sneaslers or other things. It punishes Trick Rooms that aren't coming out from Farigiraf. And then Fake Tears again. Its main purpose is to boost Staraptor's special defense. At +2 special defense, Staraptor cannot be taken out by a modest Floette at max special attack. It cannot be taken out by that in one hit with a +2. So if they go for something like Tailwind plus Moonblast with maybe, let's say, a Aerodactyl, you're not feeling threatened, because you know that you should be able to take that Moonblast, barring the critical hit, because Fake Tears plus Close Combat, you're fine. And if they don't go with the Tailwind, you are faster than them. Staraptor is purposefully trained to be 1 point faster after Mega Evolving than the base 102s, so that means Garchomp and Floette. Obviously, if the Garchomp is running the Choice Scarf, it does outspeed you, but you have Tailwind and Roost, and it will have been intimidated by Staraptor to begin with. So, Choice Scarf Garchomp is not that much of a threat, isn't hitting that hard. Fake Tears, brilliant move. Now, the other purpose of Fake Tears on this team, and the reason why I prefer it over the Charm again for a second option, is because Pelipper and Archaludon, who I generally bring in the back, are both special attackers. I had a battle where I went up against a Metagross. I was able to get 2 Fake Tears into it, so it's down to -4 special defense, and my Flash Cannons were doing so much damage. My Flash Cannon was a consistent threat. Fake Tears doesn't just boost your Staraptor, it massively supports your Pelipper and Archaludon, and I just find it that little bit more valuable because it can provide that support for your 2 mons in the back. Another point on Staraptor and Intimidate, it's not a problem leading it into Kingambit. Kingambit obviously gets a Defiant boost, but because you're faster, naturally, and Close Combat's going to do a lot of damage, they're going to have to Sucker Punch you. At which point, it's okay. Staraptor will survive a Sucker Punch, a +1 Sucker Punch, it's not a problem. Staraptor can survive that, shrug it off, Close Combat, roost up the damage later on. So you have no problem leading into Kingambit. Milotic is a little bit of a problem to lead into, but with Whimsicott, Milotic doesn't really like Whimsicott that much. And you can just fake tears plus close combat, and all of a sudden you're at +3 special defense, and you've kind of counteracted their boost that they've gotten. They've also got to start getting those coils if they're not running the Scald, so if they're running that Muddy Water. And if they are running the Muddy Water, they can't get the special defense drops on you. They can't get the accuracy drops on you, not special defense. They can't get the accuracy drops from Muddy Water on you. It would become an accuracy raise. So Staraptor not really threatened either by the Milotic. So you can lead it into Milotic, you can lead it into King Gambit. So it's an Intimidate Mon that isn't really worried about anti-intimidate techniques. Sneasler, not worried. King Gambit, not worried. Milotic, not worried. Now I've decided to support it with the Rain duo of Archaludon Pelipper. It's just a very, very defensive Archaludon. Again, it is to be that annoying piece. Archaludon is a very annoying piece to deal with in terms of what it can do once it gets a stamina boost. With the opponent sometimes focusing in on Staraptor once it's got a close combat or two or a fake tears online, they start focusing it down because it's really, really threatening. They know it's going to take 2 hits. That gives a lot of opportunity for Archaludon to come in that spot and get a +2 on stamina, then go for a protect, or to get some healing with that leftovers. So Archaludon is absolutely brilliant. Supports the team lovely. Stamina, with a pretty standard moveset of Protect, Electroshock, Flash Cannon, Draco Meteor. You might want to drop the Draco Meteor for the more reliable Dragon Pulse. It's definitely a difficult decision to make. I have missed plenty of Draco Meteors that could cost me games. But I just feel that little bit of extra power is much necessary. It's very, very necessary on Archaludon. But I think that's one of those moves on this team that you can perfectly swap out. A little bit like the Brave Bird being potentially swapped out with a dual Wing Beat on the Staraptor. I think you could swap out Draco Meteor on the Archaludon for Dragon Pulse and it would go fine. I personally prefer Draco Meteor. Dragon Pulse could be used. With Pelipper, it's a pretty standard Pelipper. It's a Damp Rock. Damp Rock is actually really, really valuable. It's one of the new held items available in this new regulation set. It gives you 8 turns of rain, and that can be really, really helpful. I just find 5 turns just being a little bit too short, and you have no other way of setting up the rain on this team, which Archaludon loves. Archaludon loves to have the rain set up, and you have no other way of doing it than through Pelipper. And with the Focus Sash being used on the Whimsicott, which I just think is a little bit more valuable, in my personal opinion, Pelipper doesn't really have another good item. You could run a Choice Scarf Pelipper, but I liked having the flexibility of moves. Hurricane and Weatherball are pretty standard moves on Pelipper. You also have gone with I've gone with the Tailwind. You could go with a couple of other options of maybe a Muddy Water, maybe a Surf, and then rather than Tailwind, a Wide Guard. I personally prefer the double Tailwind because there are some times when I've needed Pelipper to get that Tailwind up, and having that ability to get the speed with Pelipper, because he is able to survive many attacks with that big, big HP, is really, really valuable. In terms of the Pelipper, it's very, very simple. Max HP, max special attack. You could refine that a little bit better to match up certain calculations. It was very much a lazy kind of, I need this Pelipper to take hits, and just put it all into HP. Swampert and Sneasler are the 2 Pokemon on this team that I'm the least convinced with. The 2 Pokemon you could probably change out the most, and the 2 Pokemon where there's probably definite room for agreement in terms of their moves and stats. It's pretty standard Unburdened Sneasler with Protect, Fake Out, Dialclaw and Close Combat, with a more defensive spread. The defensive spread with the 20 HP just allows you to take a few hits and not completely fall apart, as Sneasler feels sometimes like it's made of paper. Paper thin. So I like to just have that little bit of HP. Adamant and then the 30 speed. You might want to change those stats up if you want a slower Sneasler or a faster Sneasler, or you want more power. It's definitely very, very flexible. Sneasler's here to mostly help you deal with the fairies, Floette and Sylveon. They can be big threats. Archaludon does not resist Floette or Sylveon. Sneasler, Diaclaw is a massive threat into those teams and those Pokemon. They have to respect Sneasler, which is a faster mon, and is able to do that. Having close combat with Unburden also does give you another form of speed control. It gives you 3 speed control. You've got the Tailwinds and the close combat. It gives you another type of speed control. Useful in a game where you might be knowing Tailwind's coming down. My opponent is playing to a game out where they're going to get rid of my Tailwind and they're going to cause me some problems. Sneasler can close combat that and flip it, giving it that speed. It's another great option, but like I say, a very flexible spot, and it's one of the Pokemon that I did bring less. Swampert is on the team basically for when you don't want to bring Staraptor. If your opponent has good Staraptor tech, good things to beat Staraptor, Floette, Charizard maybe, you're feeling a little bit threatened, you maybe want to switch it up in, let's say, a best of 3 scenario if you're bringing this team to a best of 3 game. Swampert does give you another Mega Evolution. I think having 2 Mega Evolutions is really, really important. The Swampert doesn't have the most optimal ability on this version of the team. I think Damp is slightly better in case you go up against those exploding Galele teams. I just didn't have the VP to spend on Damp, and I was like, it's not going to come up really at all. But that would be definitely what I would swap, because Damp has some use, Torrent has no use. With the moves on this, Wave Crush and Earthquake, in my opinion, are pretty good free moves. The idea is to get Pelipper and Swampert in next to each other, and you basically click Earthquake. You could go with the high horsepower. Is it high horsepower it gets, or Stomping Tantrum? I can't remember which one, but it's one of those single target ground moves. It does get one. To be just a little bit more reliable. I like Earthquake. I think you've got enough things here that are going to take an Earthquake well enough. Archaludon could have 1 or 2 stamina boosts and can start taking the Earthquakes, and you've got Protect on Archaludon, so you're not particularly worried about it. With Swampert, you're mostly going to be clicking that brand new move there, Wave Crash. Brand new move for Swampert. You're going to click that because you're massively speedy in the rain, and Wave Crash does a lot of damage. You've got so much attack, and you're adamant max attack, that you can just absolutely evaporate Pokemon. I've gone with Rock Slide because Rock Slide is a really good move, but there are definitely other options that Swampert gets. Flip Turn is something I considered. You could also go with a knockoff or another type of water move. There's just a lot of options that Swampert gets. I've gone Rock Slide because if you've got that Swift Swim boost, Rock Slide flinches could win you a game. So yeah, that is the team. It plays very well, in my opinion. Staraptor Whimsicott can be a really, really dominant lead. Cause a lot of problems for opponents to deal with if they just do not respect that close combat. And then the fact is that you've also got Staraptor just able to stay around with Roost and just cause so many problems for the opponent. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. You can check out the team ID there, or replicate it yourself. There's a copy of the stats. And there is a copy of the moves and held items. Thank you very much for watching.